Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council to order for February 4th, 2016 at 8:07 p.m. On roll call, council members Coletti.
Here.
Churdo.
Here.
Dombrowski.
Here.
Giandomenico.
Here.
Martino.
Here.
Vancino.
Here.
Mayor Moller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Will everyone please rise for our prayer and flag salute? O God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting, which we trust to your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant therein the keen sense of justice and the greater love for you and our neighbors. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The statement of compliance, whereas Chapter 231 of Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires the commencement of each meeting a statement by the presiding officer. Now therefore be advised, the meeting requirements for this meeting have been met by posting an annual notice in the Record of Hackensack, the Herald News of West Patterson, by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk and in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted on January 1, 2012. This meeting is being videoed. It will be on Cablevision, and it will also be on Verizon on Monday, 2 p.m., Thursday, 4 p.m., and Friday at 10 a.m. It's also on our own website. Thank you.
Mayor, at this time, we'll move to the approval of minutes from January 7th, 2016 work session, January 14th, 2016 regular meeting, January 21st, 2016 work session, January 21st, 2016 executive session.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Martino, second.
Second.
Mr. Vincino, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Coletti.
Yes.
Churdo.
Yes.
Dombrowski.
Yes.
Giandomenico.
Yes.
Martino.
Yes.
Vancino.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, at this time, we have the presentation of 4 life-saving awards, and I'd like to call forward Chief Michael Foligno from the Elmwood Park Police Department.
Thank you. Thank you to the Mayor and Council for your continued support of the Police Department. We appreciate the good working relationship that we have. Thank you again. Okay, so on December 5th at 6:30 in the evening, our dispatch received a medical call of a 6-year-old child not breathing in the area of Iosia Terrace. The officers responded with Michael Fralick and Officer Randy Guerrillo, along with ambulance corps members Cesar Hernandez, Kyle Coughlin, Matthew Tester, and Kyle Johnson. They immediately began administering first aid to the child. The child had no pulse and was not breathing. They were able to resuscitate the child. The child was later transported to the hospital and eventually made a full recovery. The officers and the ambulance corps personnel should be commended for their swift response, their training, and their ability to remain calm under a very stressful situation where if you're not handling things appropriately, it can go real bad real fast. So our hats off to everyone that participated in this. Thank you for your professionalism. You represent Elmwood Park, the police department, and the ambulance corps very well. Thank you for your assistance and for your professionalism. I'm going to call forward Michael Fralick. You receive your award first. Randy Guerrillo. Cesar Hernandez, please. Kyle Coughlin. You're taking too far. Matthew Tester. and Kyle Johnson.
Council members want to come down to the picture?
I can stand behind the tall one.
Chief, can you get in between this?
Sure can. Whoever makes me look tall.
I don't have a box for this.
I can make a joke.
Can I get one there? Well, move over, that's what move over. Yeah, keep going. Keep going, all the way out the door. Got a guy here, stand us out. There we go. You ready? You came out.
Everybody look at the video down.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mayor. Mayor.
Okay, Mayor.
Good.
Mayor Mola is going to be presenting a mayor's certificate to two individuals. I'm sure everyone's aware, on the 27th of January, we had an incident where a young man was attacked by a raccoon on the boulevard near Iozia Terrace. He is a very brave little boy. We're proud of him. We're proud that he's in attendance tonight. Thank you for coming out and letting us share this with you. The hero, the Good Samaritan in this case, Mr. Danny Walls, heard what was going on, the screams. He responded quickly, cool and calm under pressure. If you want a job, come and see me. Could use more guys like you. We do a good job, but we want to add to that. He responded quickly. He grabbed a pole from his truck. The raccoon was latched onto the young man, onto his face, and was doing some damage, and Mr. Walls was able to dislodge it by striking it with the painter's pole, and eventually the animal died because of that. We found out later that it did have rabies, and the young man was treated. He was taken to Hackensack University Medical Center, and it looks like he's making a full recovery. We'd like to have you guys both come up and receive these awards from Mayor Mola. Thank you.
Come on up, come on up.
Hi, Aaron. Nice to meet you.
Why don't we get somebody to sit you right here?
Stand up there?
Sit right here.
No?
No.
No? Ladies and gentlemen, please sit down, if you will. Police Chief Maligno has indicated exactly what happened at the situation with the raccoon. And I think it's important that we all know this is the first time we've ever had an incident of a wild animal biting anybody or attacking anybody. So I'm pleased to be able to present the certificate, and I'll read it here. Presented to Danny Walls, performed the courageous act of removing a raccoon from a 6-year-old boy's face and body. Congratulations. That is amazing. Danny acted spontaneously out of love for the boy, knowing his own children, and the fact that he attacked the raccoon, and thank you for killing. You're welcome. What he did was amazing. You know, many times when these situations occur, we tend to stand there and look at it instead of reacting. You reacted. You were positive. You did what you had to do, and what you did saved this boy's life. We don't know what that raccoon would have done. And I have a second award to Arian Gavalli for his courageous strength in helping fight off a raccoon attack against him. Congratulations, young man. Who actually tried to get the raccoon off him. The raccoon probably weighed more than he did. And if it wasn't for Danny coming by and whacking that raccoon, this young man would have been in much more difficulty and would have had more severe marks on him. He's a brave little boy, a courageous little boy, and I know somebody who's going to go up and be excellent in school, excellent with the family, and excellent with the community. Just a fine young man, and we really thank you very much and appreciate what you've done. Now, I want to give you these certificates, and maybe we can have somebody take a picture. Maybe you can stand on here. Stand up on the chair. There you go. Wow, face that way. Hold that. See, and you come in here and hold this. Now that's for you, that's your certificate, okay? And as a young man, you're gonna have a little mark over here, which is great for a little boy. They always have a little mark and it shows that's where it's coming from, yeah. We have somebody who wants to take a picture.
Okay, that boy.
And a little smile. Can we get a little smile? Yeah.
Ready? Here we go. I have, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I just want to congratulate you, Danny. Tremendous. You reacted spontaneously. Where's Mom? And Dad? Dad here? Come on up. I want to congratulate you having a strong young man here. He's going to be excellent. Mom, I don't want to ask how frightened you were. I don't want to ask that question. But I know when Danny came, you probably smiled a little bit. Between the tears. We can all take a picture of the family, please. Okay. Hold the certificate up here. Okay, you want to just look over there. Thank you.
Hold on, hold on.
Oh, okay.
That guy hasn't spoken. All right, here we go. Smile, son.
just want to go to play. Oh, boy.
Mayor, at this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess in case anyone would like to excuse themselves before we move on with our regular meeting. Thank you. Okay, Mayor, we're going to reconvene the meeting at 8:26 p.m. And we're moving on to ordinances. We have 2 ordinances this evening on first reading. The first is Resolution R49-16, introduced ordinance 16-02 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled an ordinance to establish the Water Department of the Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to fix the rates and prices to be charged for the use of water and establish rules and regulations for the distribution, supply, use, and protection of said water, and penalties for violation of certain said rules and regulations be passed and adopted on first reading. And whereas be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, February 18th, 2016 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter, as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance may be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be and he is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing is required by law. Mayor will need a motion to introduce the ordinance.
Motion, please. So moved. Mr. Martino, second.
Second.
Mr. Dombrowski, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti,
Yes.
Churdo,
Yes.
Dombrowski,
Yes.
Giandomenico,
Yes.
Martino,
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Our second ordinance under first reading tonight is Resolution 50-16, introduced ordinance 16-03 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled a capital ordinance of the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, authorizing the rehabilitation of the hockey rink at the Recreation Center in, by, and for the borough appropriating there for the sum of $133,640 and providing that such sum be appropriated shall be raised from the borough's reserve for recreation expenses, be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, February 18th, 2016 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter, as same can be heard, at which time and place all persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing is required by law.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Dombrowski and Coletti, discussion?
Mayor, I just want to state for the record that by proposing this bond ordinance, all this does is set up the funding mechanism for us to charge against. The hockey rink project will be funded through a Bergen County Open Space grant coupled with funds from the Recreation Trust Fund.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti,
Yes.
Churdo,
Yes.
Dombrowski,
Yes.
Giandomenico,
Yes.
Martino,
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We're getting how much from the county open space?
It's-
35,000?
Yeah, and then it matches.
83, I think, right?
Total. Resolution R51-16 is an ordinance on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, Chapter 2 thereof entitled Administration. Whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, January 14th, 2016, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, Chapter 2, therefore entitled Administration, pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Dombrowski, Bonsino, discussion? Anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Mr. Bonsino, second.
Second.
Mr. Churdo, discussion? Any discussion? Lou, you want to just indicate the...
No, as I indicated the last time, this is a modification to our police table of organization where it provides that we can grow beyond the 40 in a temporary situation so the chief can deal with potential retirements or staffing changes. So it just gives them additional hiring flexibility during a transition.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti,
Yes.
Churdo,
Yes.
Dombrowski,
Yes.
Giandomenico,
Yes.
Martino,
Yes.
Bonsino.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, moving on to the consent agenda, we have Resolution R52-16, payment of bills, Resolution 53-16, payment of escrow, Resolution 54-16, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 55-16, award engineering and construction services to Alimo Group, Market Street Streetscape Project Phase 2, Resolution 56-16, authorized payment number 2, English Avenue Park improvements to TNS Builders, Inc. Resolution 57-16, extend temporary appointment of clerk in the Finance Department, Consuelo Carpenter. Resolution 58-16, authorized recreation stipends in the Recreation Department. Resolution 59-16, authorized use of the St. Leo's Gymnasium for the summer camp program. Resolution 60-16, authorized the 2016 bond council contract with Rogat McCarthy LLC. Resolution 61-16, authorized the 2016 municipal auditor contract with Lurch, Vinci, and Higgins LLP. Resolution 62-16, resolution approving the participation with the Safe and Secure Communities Program. Resolution 63-16, resolution establishing procedures for unclaimed or abandoned vehicles. Resolution 64-16, resolution establishing and recognizing the work of the Elmwood Park Centennial Committee Incorporated on behalf of the citizens of Elmwood Park. And Resolution 65-16, authorized execution of shared services agreement with the Borough of Fair Lawn Building Department.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Councilor Dombrowski, second.
Second.
Mr. Martino, discussion?
Through you, Mayor, Resolution 64 has been added to the agenda based on the recommendation of our risk manager. This will allow the insurance coverage from the borough to extend to the Centennial Committee for the festivities planned this year. And Resolution 65-16 is a new 4-year agreement with the Borough of Fair Lawn to share our head of our building department.
Thank you. Committee reports?
I need to do a roll call. Councilmembers Coletti?
Yes.
Churdo?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Giandomenico?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Bonzino?
Yes.
Mayor, under applications this evening, we have Paramus PBA Local 186, Paramus Civic Association bingo application.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Boncino and
Second.
Dombrowski, discussion? Call a roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Coletti?
Yes.
Churdo?
Yes.
Dombrowski?
Yes.
Giandomenico?
Yes.
Martino?
Yes.
Bonzino?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, that concludes my portion of the agenda.
Committee reports. We'll start here, Mr. Martino.
Well, amongst all of the happiness we had tonight, I'm sure everyone is aware of what happened a couple days ago to one of our officers. He was called to a fight. Obviously, when they get called to these situations, they really have no clue what's going to happen. And he will be good and he'll be healed, but he's going to be out for a long period of time. So I guess the only thing we look at is that these officers, and we've said it 100 times, a million times, every day when they leave their house, they don't know how they're going to come back or when they're going to come back and if they're going to come back. This was an altercation, and it turned ugly fast. So to everyone that helped the officer and everyone else, of course, all the investigations still going on because there's 2 of them still at large. If someone really, really knows what happened, please call the police department. You can remain anonymous, but we need to catch these other 2 because of what happened the other day. That's my report for today.
Thank you. Councilman Churdo?
I'd like to echo Councilman Martino's remarks in regards to the incident and hope Officer Nichols with a speedy recovery. Again, congratulations to all those that got awards tonight. It's a great accomplishment and a great peace of mind to know that there's people out there that are willing to just jump into action at a moment's notice. It feels good knowing that there's people like that out there, and it's good to see those success stories. In regards to the DPW, on the 22nd, I believe, or 23rd, on the 23rd, while everybody was fast asleep at 3 a.m., DPW was hard at work at 3 a.m., starting to salt the roads, and then going out at 6 a.m. to start plowing. Again, my opinion is one, but my opinion is that they did a very good job considering the amount of snow that fell in such a short period of time, and they went out. They plowed every single road in town 3 times through the entire day. I went out at 11 o'clock, drove around, and I'll admit I did follow behind some of the trucks to see how good they were doing and seeing how they were doing a great job. You saw blacktop as they passed by, but soon after you saw the snow again because it was coming down that fast. I did get to spend some time with Scott Cars. We went out at 1 o'clock in the morning. We were out till about 1 to 2:30, And it was nice to see at 2:30 in the morning that the entire town looked great. It was plowed. Obviously, people will say when they see this, not my street. Well, 90% of the town, I think, looked great. And what I can say is that if your street was one of those streets that might not have been perfect, I'll pretty much guarantee that there was a car parked on the wrong side of the street. The cars that are parked on the wrong side of the street really make a hard time for the DPW to effectively do their job. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, we don't say, you know, oh, that car was illegally parked. We say the DPW didn't plow to the curb. And until you're actually out there to see how hard it is to plow to a curb when there's cars illegally parked, echoing with the police department, they did a great job. I saw it in action. They go down the street, they blow the siren to give all the residents a fair warning that their cars are illegally parked on the wrong side of the street, and then they loop around, and then they give the residents the opportunity to move their car. On one of the streets, 2 residents moved, 1 resident did not, and their car was ticketed. Again, a lot of people say that they're not out there ticketing, but what happens is they put the ticket, it's a receipt, and they put it in the mirror. They wedge it in there, and sometimes they might not even get that far, and the tickets are sent electronically, or the tickets are sent through the mail. So, you know, everybody might be quick to say that car didn't get ticketed, but there was about 264 cars that were ticketed during that storm. Echoing again, we were also out shoveling out hydrants, and again, these are main concerns that are important to the safety of the community, and as residents, we can positively control and affect the outcome. It's a shame to see so many people throwing the snow right back into the street, more importantly, pulling their car into the middle of the street and shoveling it off. We're in control of everything that we do, and I hope that in the future, when it does snow, you'll clean everything up properly. You'll make your space presentable. We had 2 water main breaks. One was on 16th Ave by the school. The DPW did a great job working with the school to make sure that that was rectified and pretty much buttoned up within 24 hours. We also had a water main break on Pine Street and Market Street. And that is my report. Thank you.
Mr. Councilman Coletti?
I too would like to echo sentiments of my 2 colleagues here regarding that young boy and that gentleman that actually jeopardized his own life to help that child out. And you think about it, those raccoons, they're ugly creatures. And they're just ugly to look at, and the thought of like jumping on you and attaching to your neck, and that gentleman needed to go through that whole process. But like the mayor had said earlier, he didn't think about it, he just reacted. And thank God for that. And the police chief said he can have a job anytime he wants with the police department, but he knows he's got that's a long journey. But it's courage. He displayed courage. So we got that raccoon, now we got to go get that kangaroo. We'll get him.
Thank you. Mr.
Well,
Boncia?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just getting warmed up here.
Okay.
Regarding the rec department, I recently attended 2 meetings, one scheduled and one special. The topic was the hockey rink. The committee modified its plans to keep the existing asphalt footprint, move existing light pole, move the basketball hoops from existing location to sideways. And by doing this, they will create a multi-facet facility that will feature basketball, hockey, tennis, soccer, and volleyball. Subsequently, only one event can take place at a time, and this will eliminate the traffic of 2 events simultaneously happening as previously planned. Costs will basically stay the same within the budget, if not less, and this is still a work in process. Regarding JIF, our Joint Insurance Fund will be holding its yearly Safety Awards breakfast. And gentlemen, you might want to jot this down, March 23rd, 8:30 a.m. March 23rd, 8:30 a.m. at the Stony Hill Inn. and we encourage all elected officials and department heads to attend. Our fire department, in the wake of our recent snowfall, is urging all property owners, once again, who have fire hydrants on their premises to maintain snow-free access. We covered about 70% of them, I should say the residents covered, plus the fire department, but that's not good enough. That 30% can be our Achilles heel, so let's get it right, for the sake of all of us. Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Poncino?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. You may have seen an article in Community News this week regarding a letter circulated by Chief Foligno to our school district administrators and parents regarding a problem today, not only in our community, but throughout the nation, in the exchange of explicit photographs and internet material. And the letter was informational to raise awareness in the district, especially to the parents. Also to reinforce that practice is illegal. But why I bring it up today is a note to the parents. Some of you may be aware, this week in Virginia, a 13-year-old girl was killed by college students, apparently. And in terms of the latest in the investigation, she thinks she was lured into a situation via some kind of online dating or social media. That's at least my understanding today. So I guess I wanted to reinforce to parents to stay one step ahead of your kids. I learned a long time, I guess today's society, parents tend to want to be their children's friends, but your kids have enough friends. Be a parent. Nobody ever died from being told no, and stay on top of your kids, because there's a lot of predators out there that want to do harm. And I think Chief's notice to the parents really goes to reinforce that. Prior to this meeting, the governing body had a joint meeting with the library board regarding planned capital improvements. I know I've been vocal about wanting to have that meeting as a follow-up to our September meeting. I can't say that we accomplished very much. I pressed again to try and understand from the library board what their success criteria was going to be, what the requirements we really need in town. I'm going to continue to press that data be available and transparent, so we understand that what we're doing is right for the community. I think it's the governing body's responsibility to look out for our residents and how that money is being expended. I won't go into the situation that happened yesterday evening, only to say that I wish Officer Nichols a speedy recovery from his injuries. I want to commend Danny for his actions in intervening quickly to remove the raccoon and minimize a horrific situation that occurred. That young man is both young men, the young boy who sustained the injuries, and Danny for his quick thinking. It was really a story that kind of resonated. Hopefully we will act quickly like that if that situation occurs in front of us. And finally, I guess I want to commend the 2 officers and 4 of our ambulance corps members who received the life-saving awards. I was a past member of the ambulance corps. One thing I know, and I'm sure the police and fire and ambulance corps members can attest to, when the alarm sounds or a call goes out, your adrenaline rushes, you tend to have tunnel vision and kind of only see things you expect to see at a scene. I know I've done CPR. It's very difficult when you have to do it on an adult and think clearly what you have to do in that situation. And if you could imagine, it's an order of magnitude more urgent when it's a child, especially when there are parents who are besides themselves hysterical, feeling helpless, and you have to step back and act coolly and calmly and the 6 of those individuals did that for that young child. And I commend them. I'm sure any one of our police, fire, ambulance would act the same way. And to finish on a lighter note, I feel very comfortable the day I have the big one that we have those kind of folks in town at my back. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Dombrowski, Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to commend the officers in the ambulance corps for their life-saving of a 6-year-old young lady. To Councilman Bonsino's point, you know, today we had an opportunity to give awards away to people who survived. And the reason why they survived is because of quick-thinking people, professionals. And if you think about these professionals on the ambulance corps and on our fire department, you know, these are everyday working people that are doing it on a volunteer basis, and it doesn't cost our community anything. And we're very lucky to have them, and I'm hoping that some of this good press that they're getting, that people will start to volunteer for their local ambulance corps and for their fire departments, because you really do save our community a lot in tax dollars, and you know, we really appreciate you for that. I also like to commend again Danny Walls for his quick thinking to help that young boy. Can't imagine what went through their heads, but in this case, instead of running away or just watching, he acted and as the mayor said, probably saved this young man's life. I also wish Officer Nichols a speedy recovery. I believe that he had surgery today to repair his broken tibia, and I just hope that he rehabs well and gets back to business soon. Our Board of Health, it will be meeting with the Bergen County Animal Control to go over this whole incident with the raccoon, and they will do some further investigations, and then we will report back to the community. There may be a separate meeting that's held for the community if they have any questions, but I have to wait until Monday to find out if that's going to actually happen. The Chamber of Commerce, on April 24th, the Chamber of Commerce will sponsor a bus trip to the Sands Casino. The cost of the trip will be $40. You'll get $25 back in playable cash and $5 food coupon. The last bus trip was a blast. If any, I highly recommend getting in on that. There's a limit of 55 people. You'll be getting a boxed lunch and beverages on the bus. Last Wednesday, the homeowners held their monthly meeting, and I'd like to thank Chief Foligno. Also, I'd like to thank Captain DePasquale and Officer Liptak for attending that meeting and giving our residents an opportunity to talk and ask questions and have them update the residents on, you know, what's going on in town and how many calls they answered during the course of 2015. It was quite astonishing. It was a great opportunity to meet the chief. The homeowners will be doing this on a monthly basis. The next meeting is February 24th, and they will have actually 2 guest speakers, a neurosurgeon and a doctor of chiropractic. They will be there if anybody has a member of the household that has Alzheimer's or has any questions. These doctors will be there to answer some questions. So February 24th, 7 o'clock at the Senior Center. I highly recommend it. I'd like to make a quick comment on the snowstorm. You know, social media is a great tool to get information out, but at the same time, it could also be a little disheartening. And I'll tell you why, because Sunday morning, I got up at 5 a.m. and I drove 95% of the streets in Elmwood Park, and my only concern at the time when I was driving around was, were the streets passable for our emergency vehicles to get through? And I will tell you that the streets that I drove up and down, and I believe I hit 95 or more % of the streets, they were passable for an emergency vehicle to get down, and I was very pleased on what the DPW did. However, at 7 o'clock, my emails started getting bigger and bigger, and my Facebook messages of people showing me pictures of their streets and saying that they weren't plowed. The fact of the matter is, folks, that they were plowed. And the unfortunate part is that the residents probably got up about 7 a.m. and started digging out their cars and throwing the snow back into the street, which made the street look like it wasn't plowed. And it's not fair to blame our DPW or our police for not doing their jobs when we as residents aren't doing what we're supposed to do and follow the law. Okay, I do know that there was over 260 some odd tickets written. I do know that our DPW was out there from 3 o'clock in the morning, and we only have 18 trucks. We had all 18 trucks out at the same time. They can only work a 12-hour day. They have to, we're not, by law, we have to allow them time to take a break. So they were out from 3 o'clock in the morning, keep going and keep going, and at 5 a.m., those streets were passable. So please, understand, we had 2 feet of snow. We didn't have 3 inches. We didn't have 6. We had 2 feet of snow. It's just a shame that we had all that snow thrown back into the street, and then the DPW gets blamed that they didn't come up and down the street. I think it's unfair to them that they had to take that. And on the other note, our fire department was out days after the storm, opening up the fire hydrants in which the residents did not open up their hydrants. And please, folks, I live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in for 51 years. I have a fire hydrant across the street. I've seen it tapped once in 51 years, but I am thankful that that fire hydrant was available that day. Okay? We don't want that incident to be happening to you where that fire hydrant's inaccessible or takes too much time to get to it. So please, keep that in mind. Make sure you've cleaned the fire hydrants. And I'd also like to thank the library board tonight for meeting with us, and I look forward to having further meetings and discussions. Progress.
Thank you. Councilman John Domenico?
Thank you. I'll echo all the sentiments that the councilman made. I know as a mom, I would hope that God forbid my child was ever in danger, someone like Danny would step in. You showed the best of humanity, and we are grateful for that. Thank you to the officers and ambulance personnel for going with your instincts and your training and providing those critical life-saving measures that saved that little girl's life. Also, a speedy recovery to the officer that's currently got injured yesterday. Like I said, speedy and healthy recovery. I would like to commend the schools and Mr. Benanati and the DPW staff for working together on fixing that water main break on 16th Ave. It saved the schools money, it provided quality services, and it was a great step for the schools and the towns to work together. And that's great. I'd also like to commend our DPW crew and emergency services for doing a great job during the snowstorm. This morning I had a nice bright and early 6 a.m. Meeting with our CFO and Mr. Kazmark. We sat together and looked at the preliminary financials, standings of the borough and the budgets and submissions from the different department heads. So I look forward to our upcoming budget hearings. Project graduation will have a McDonald's evening on February 24th from 5 to 8 p.m. Saddlebrook on Route 46. And also Project graduation will have a fashion show on May 3rd from 6 to 11 at the Fiesta. That's it.
Thank you. How much time do we have?
March 3rd, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Let me just indicate that everything that's been said about the snowstorm, now we're expecting 3 to 4 inches on a Saturday, okay?
Tonight.
So, when?
Tonight.
Tonight. I'm a day early. Let's hope that they're correct this time and it's only 3 or 4 inches. I just want to repeat for the third time, the big problem with the snowstorm is throwing the snow back in the street from the snow blowers and shoveling your car out and putting that snow back in the street. That is the major problem. Without that, we would have clear roads and people would be traveling safely. It's not up to us. The police chief sent out a whole flyer indicating what should be done during a snowstorm, and some people just didn't regard it. However, I must have gotten about 4 or 5 emails from people. We have almost 5,000 homes in town, so they weren't responding that badly. And I did get 4 or 5 that were saying, good job. So we have to take it from where it comes. At this time, we did have someone who resigned from the planning board last week, and I put Joe Abramo on it. He was an alternate, and I would like to, with Mr. Kazmark, since it's my appointment, to put Greg Ament, A-M-E-N-T, as the first alternate on the planning board, and the second alternate that's there is Will Meneely. I would like to appoint those 2 people. Okay? May I have a motion to open to the public, please?
Motion.
Mayor, before, just one thing I forgot I'd like to bring out. Regarding the meeting we had with the library, what I walked away from that meeting was a very interesting fact and point, which had to do with the expansion. It was explained to us that state-wise, according to our population, our library square footage is much too small. So I think that was very important. I know I feel better about having that information now as opposed to not having it. That's all I want to bring up.
Thank you. Motion open to the public?
Make a motion.
End of the tape, can we?
You want to do that now?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have a short break while the tape is replaced, and we'll open to the public. Thank you. I'd like to start the meeting again after we replace the tape. May I have a motion to open to the public, please?
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski, second.
Second.
Mr. John Domenico. Anyone in the audience who wishes to speak, we have a 10-minute limitation. Please come forward. Give your name and address.
Jeffrey Freitag.
Wait a minute,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. I do just have one question. I see on page 34.
Wait a minute, may I stop you right there? I rode by your house in the snow. You complained about the fire hydrant. You shoveled it out, it was great. You're one of the few at the time that I rode by that had their fire hydrant shoveled out. Thank you.
I didn't complain about the fire.
No,
I just said I always shovel it, and I said the fact is now you're generating another thing.
Well, you did a good job.
I just said that I thought the 5 feet distance was unreasonable on each side, and I was supposed to get some sort of.
You didn't get a flag?
Yeah, I got one. I went and bought it.
Oh, okay.
I'm almost sorry.
I'm waiting for you to deliver it like you said you were going to do.
Go ahead, I'm
I
sorry.
don't care. $1.29 I bought it.
Did I say that? I really said I was going to deliver
On
it?
the record.
Okay.
Mayor, you
Anyway,
weren't,
regardless.
did you install it too?
I appreciate the fact that you did look,
I-
it was shoveled, I did shovel it. because
Mayor,
I
you
did-
weren't checking up on him, were you?
No, he wasn't.
No, I
He was
went,
coming home from church.
that's right, and then went down the street, and there was a car stuck in the middle of the street because everybody threw their snow back in the middle of the street.
Okay, my question, regarding page 34 in the consent agenda, I noticed there's a payment to TNS Builders. It's complete payment, I would assume, for the completion of English Avenue Park. And I guess this question would, I would assume Mr. Casbar may know the answer, but if not, he can give it to me another time. That's the final payment for the completion of that park, correct? For English Avenue?
I am double checking before I answer.
I don't think it's fine.
Okay, well, since
I don't
I
think
have a
it's the
limitation of time. How much, would anyone know about what the total amount was, including engineering costs, to do that park, which would include the parking lot, some of the revisions to the park, and the lighting?
You mean the whole thing?
Yeah.
From beginning to now?
No, I mean just the most recent project, which included the lights and the parking.
We can get that
The
number.
original contract amount, $367,323.
And that included lighting, correct? And that included the parking, and that included engineering fees?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
That was to TS Builders.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your comment about it. I'm glad to see you checking. Or is that just your way home from St.
That
Louis?
was just my way home. No, I was riding around. I went to Hillman, I went down Birchwood, I went up Fenzek, I went down Paulson.
If I have the time, I always clear it, and I mean, and if I'm able to clean it. But there are a lot of them, I would assume, and I did read it, and not just this little aside, not 10 minutes, A fellow wrote a letter to the editor about some sort of box called a hub box, and it's supposed to cover the fire hydrant, and it said it can be easily used. I meant to look it up, I'll have to look it up and do a little online search about that. If that could go over the fire hydrant.
Don't know.
And
It would have to be heated to serve any purpose.
Well, I don't know, I'm just saying, this person wrote in there, and they mentioned the name of it, and it's something, maybe some sort of protective device to cover the fire hydrant. I don't know what it is, but I know there's been a lot of things on Facebook about cleaning fire hydrants and different laws applying to it, and I think it's a good civic duty. In fact, when I moved into my house in December of 1978, my neighbor, he said hello to him, introduced himself, but he said to you, and we moved in December, and we did a lot of snow, and he said, it's your civic duty to clean that fire hydrant. And I always have. I always think of him when I do it. He's long gone, but he did remind me of that. So I think it is a good thing that people can clean it if they are.
And if you're
I'm
not,
glad that I
Thank you.
if you're not capable, your neighbor to help out, that's what makes it all go. makes it all work as a community.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good thing. And I did have a fire at my house years ago, and I know that volunteer fire department took care of it. And I'm always glad that I do have a fire hydrant in front of my house. But didn't have to use it anyway, put it out with dry chemicals.
Anyone else who wish to speak?
They're not. Good, thank you.
Keith,
But
you
I
check that
just
time?
want to tell you, my name is Jennifer, I live at 34 Locust Street, I'm from New Jersey. I just want to tell you people, it's not the name is a kangaroo, but it is a bird from Isaiah, and it's named the cockadoo. That's the name of the bird that is in New Jersey. You know why? Channel 12 News had it on the news about it. And that's what the bird I see.
Where was it from, you said?
Huh?
You said it was from Azalea?
Yeah.
Australia.
Australia.
Australia, okay. I
And
wanted
it
to...
does look like a kangaroo.
Okay.
But it's a bird, and it did say that it was on Channel 12 News, and it did have the same look like what I see.
Just stay away from it, though. You don't know what it's carrying, so just
But
stay away
I'm
from
just
it.
trying to tell you that I saw it first before anybody else seen it.
Thank you.
That's why I'm telling you that.
Thank you.
And one more thing, please. When you gonna get the lights fixed?
Keith?
Mayor, I have made 3 personal phone calls to PSE&G to address those 2 poles in the back. We will make another attempt.
You can add my 2 to that as well.
But there's one pole by my front of our house is out too.
Those are the poles we're talking about. I actually have photos of them in my phone with the pole numbers on them.
Yeah?
So I will make another attempt.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else who wish to be heard?
Tom Conboy, 135 Twila Avenue, Elmwood Park. I'll go to the library first, since you guys just came from a meeting there. And I only asked the board members. I should have also asked, since everybody was in attendance, I should have asked the mayor and council as well. So I'm going to, if I don't mind, if no one minds, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Did anybody know the architect before he got hired? Ever met him before?
No.
At any kind of social or anything?
I've worked with the architect in the county on a professional level.
So
RC
you,
Architects.
so you're familiar with the architect?
I'm familiar with the architect's professional work, yes.
Did you work with him side by side on a project
He was one of the architects on the project, yes.
that you worked on him with, right?
That's what I just said, yes.
Okay. Did you make the recommendation to the freeholders to hire him?
No, I didn't have that authority. That's above my pay grade.
Well, I'm just asking, if you worked on the project, you might have been the one who said, hey, I think this guy...
No,
has the
they
right
were,
kind of
they were
stuff."
actually contracted on the project prior to me ever starting to work with the DPW.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate you, telling me. So you knew him and you actually worked with him before?
Professionally, yes.
Yeah. Does anybody have any knowledge, neither one of your, I know this is not a council question per se, but has the architect or his firm donated to either one of your political funds?
No,
No.
not on ours.
Okay. Do the council members have any relatives, cousins, nieces, nephews working at the library currently?
Yes, my brother's a library employee, which is why I recused myself from voting for a board member. I just didn't think it was right.
What
And
position does he hold?
He's the maintenance personnel
Okay.
in the library.
And before this gets painted as like I'm on some kind of hunt here, Councilwoman, not true at all. These are questions I was actually asked in the last 2 days. So I just asking, so. But getting back on the library meeting here tonight, it's a shame. I sat on the council, as you all know, and, this project has still been in the works. And every time I go to a library meeting, the dynamics just continue to change and change. And you know what? I actually think maybe some of the players that are in charge, because clearly not everybody's in charge. You have board members, some here tonight, that are desperately trying to get answers for things, to questions, and they clearly tell you, no, they're frustrated. And that's what's sad. There's only a certain club that seems to know, hate to use that word, but that's really what it is. Some of you hopefully are seeing it. I know you have to toe the line for your political clubs. I know, I've been there, I understand. But you have to see some of it. I mean, Councilman Coletti, Bob, yourself, you yourself, You don't like to see this kind of stuff happening. I know you don't. But you yourself and Councilman Castiglia were a special board appointed by the mayor to try to work out some of these things several years ago.
Yes.
And Robert, not due to your fault, but it hasn't netted anything, correct? I mean, that's my opinion, but we're not any further down the line
No,
than
Tom,
we were then.
it's taken a long time. Hopefully now, I'm getting a feeling of that we're coming together with the whole idea, and our questions are somewhat being answered. I think we're getting close now, I really do, and so I would leave it like
You know,
that.
And I respect your opinion if that's how you feel. I don't see that, especially when I left for the meeting tonight. Does that include, he rebutted me, so I get some extra time, right there, Mr. Clerk?
You gotta say my name, just say my name.
I did say your name. And you're
No,
asking me
no,
thanks, right? I
that's
appreciate it.
that's part of it.
Excuse me?
It's part of your time. Just keep them quiet next time.
Oh, well, I figured you might tell him that.
No.
I guess you didn't give him a kick, sorry. So,
You got a wood lake over here.
I
Tom.
do.
There's a wood lake here.
I'm petrified now, right, Bob? I mean, we all love the library. I mean, when I left tonight for the meeting, my wife is a school teacher. She loves the library. She's actually got some new videotapes from there the other day. She's a regular there. And she actually said to me on the way out the door, do not pick on the library. Do not pick on the library. And it's not a matter of picking on the library. We need to get it done. That's the part that's got to get done. But you have to have some of the things that Councilman Bonsino and Dombrowski and some of you are seeing. I know some of you are seeing because I talked to some of you. And you see what's coming through. It's not a matter of even just picking on somebody, but it's not together. They're not together. They don't have answers. And we ask another question, another weird answer comes out, like the seasonality of people and the people that are going there. Oh, we got 80 kids. Well, 80 kids includes the parents that come with them. They don't have a parking lot that big. Now, I understand some maybe walk, but come on, how many walk close by? A small handful? It's just that's the problem. And this would have all been over years ago in the library now. There'd be a ribbon cutting ceremony and everything else. That's the part. If I was on that board, I have no hair left. Because I would be beside myself in anger. And I know some of the board members are. I feel their pain. They want to get stuff done. I like to get stuff done myself. Anyway, I do want to comment on something, as the mayor pointed out, about the public time. I'm going to take you guys down a little history road here. This is a 2007 inform put out by the mayor.
No, that was put out by the Republican Party.
Well, I know, but you write the articles.
You give me information at the time.
You tough, please. None of us have the information. I wasn't running then, so don't put it on me. I was here, though, in the audience. Limited speaking time for residents. The final change Democrats introduced was a proposal to limit speakers from the audience to 5 minutes, altering a 35-year tradition of allowing the public enough time to speak their views. So now, up till now, the end of the year would have been now 43-year tradition. For Mayor Mola, this was the last straw in what he called the public be damned policy. Now, I understand, because the Democrats were upset back then, because we would come in the audience and ask questions that we were told to prompt to ask, or ask this one so we get that one for literature and this one's for that one. I get it, because I was running. It was all part of the political system. So their frustrations are the same frustrations the mayor has when I stand here. Mola adamantly refused to allow this last proposal, even though the Democrats insisted it was a good idea. Putting his foot down, he declared, as mayor, he is in charge of the public meetings and said, I will continue to listen to the people and allow them to fully express their views. I have done this in the past. And even though the public didn't trust the Democrats, and once they got the majority again, they would do it, he came back with, why don't we then just put a sign on the municipal building stating, public not wanted, and get it over with. That's the mayor. So here we are now, 43 years later, now we have a time limit. Unbelievable. Congratulations. I have some other things here, but I guess my time is probably coming close. But I do want to say another thing, too. I understand he's running. It's Councilman Dombrowski's idea. You guys have spent, and not fair to the two newcomers who are, I see they're struggling to do you see it in the 2 work meetings so far. You guys have beat up the whole garbage can thing and the recycling cans. You've spent more time talking about these freaking garbage cans and recycle bins because it's his initiative and it's the job now to get him out this November. That's the job, to get him out. So you guys think about it. How much time you spent? That poor guy, if I was that guy, I'd say, listen, thank you very much. We're not interested in Elmwood Park. And he's the only guy who doesn't. That's been clearly now defined. He's the only guy. Question after question. Some of them are repeated, just reverse. And I see the look on all your faces, rolling. And it just, I just can't believe it. And they even have the mayor say, first time he said it in like 5 meetings you had, or at least 4, or discussions about it, and lengthy ones. The people that know here, that sit in the public here, know because they sit in that work meeting with me. The mayor even said, well, you know, we have some now on Market Street. And Councilman Dombrowski says, and they're broken, and they've been broken. The mayor goes, yeah, you know, we have money in the recycling account, we should get new ones. Well, they've been broken for a long time. How come we haven't gotten new ones? So I got to be the bad guy and come here and say all this stuff, right? So if somebody has to give, that's okay. It's a role I'm comfortable with. But I bet we haven't. Have we ordered the new cans?
No.
The ones that are broken?
We haven't decided what we're going to do about the...
But the ones that are currently in place, that are broken, that have been broken, you both admit they've been broken a long time.
They're standing, they're not broken that they fall down.
They fall down?
No.
No, but they're broken.
Well,
Your
I mean-
comment was, we got money, we can get new ones. And I believe Councilman Dombrowski said, well, how come we haven't gotten them? I mean, the recycling department is exactly 3.5 feet from your chair, from your desk. I mean, we can get them fixed. I'm not blaming that individual per se, but that's the recycling department, 3.5 feet from your desk. So I think you could whisper, hey, we should go look at those bins and get them fixed. Because the money's in that account, that's what you said.
Tom, just to say something, for the record, you made it seem like we're all opposed to Mr. Dombrowski's idea of putting recycling. I'm not. We did say we are for recycling. We weren't comfortable with the 10-year length of the contract, as well as I also wasn't comfortable personally that the vendor had an exit clause just cause, but we didn't have that. So those were some issues I had with the contract.
Councilwoman, I respect it.
Yeah.
Again,
Thank you, Tom.
I just don't want it to be skewed that we're against, I'm
No,
against
I
recycling.
didn't say, you know, what I am saying though is, prior to your arrival, these discussions already been started. You're like coming out. of the
We've been
can,
on 2 of them,
And you're
yeah.
asking, but there's already been a few. The guy had been there already before. So it's a no-brainer. It doesn't hurt to try. It doesn't hurt to try a couple. I mean,
And I believe that from our last work session, we had Mr. Giblin look into drafting specs, right?
Thank you.
We made additional quantity.
Thank you, Tom.
We made additional quantities.
Right.
Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard?
thank you guys so much.
Long enough.
Thank you.
If not, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So
Moved
moved.
by Mr. Martino and Mr. Coletti. Any all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Keith.